Trust me when I tell you, you do not want an aquatic turtle. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Zoe, but most people know me as ZA Reptiles. Now, a little bit of background on me. I was recently a naturalist and head of animal care at my local nature center, which means primarily taking care of turtles and fish. Took care of a lot of turtles, but about 95% of them were aquatic. I've also interned at aquariums and worked in the zoo field with several different types of aquatic turtles. So when I say you don't want an aquatic turtle, I am speaking from personal experience. Now, maybe after I give you these 5 reasons, you're going to be like, that's no big deal. Well, if that's the case, good for you. Go get your aquatic turtle. For most people, aquatic turtles are one of the animals I see very rapidly being given up, being rehomed, not receiving the proper care that they need. That's because people don't quite realize what truly goes into caring for an aquatic turtle. Starting off with number 1, they can be stinky. Now, in general, when I hear people complaining about their turtle tanks being stinky, I'm asking, when was the last time you cleaned them? It's probably not so much your turtle, it's probably your tank. Because, like I said, I cared for a lot of turtles, and our building didn't stink, the classroom didn't stink. But if you're staying on top of cleaning, this really shouldn't be an issue, but I do want to mention it because it's one of the number 1 complaints I hear from people that have aquatic turtles. But now we're going to get into the nitty gritty and like the really legit reasons. Number 2, water quality testing. If you have an aquatic species, not just a turtle, but just an aquatic species in general, you should be having your water tested. This is essential to making sure that they are receiving the right care. It's like if you have a bearded dragon and you have to test the UVB and you're testing the heat to make sure that it's right. Testing the water quality is basically like the equivalent for an aquatic species. Now, this isn't too bad if you live locally to a pet store where they will actually test your water for you. That makes it pretty easy. We don't have that up here. So we have to test our water with kits by hand ourselves. And it takes some time, takes some work. That way you're able to catch any fluctuations or changes in your water quality. In general, turtles are pretty hardy, but there are some that are a little more sensitive to their water quality, like alligator snapping turtles. So if you're gonna get an aquatic turtle, be sure to invest in a really good water quality testing kit and be prepared to test that water often. Next is water changes. Some people enjoy water changes. I find them annoying. Some people find them relaxing. I don't know. Depends on the day. I get annoyed. I hate changing my alligator snapping turtle's water, but I think that's mainly because he's little, so he doesn't have a whole lot of water. That's probably the second most common complaint I hear from people that have aquatic turtles. Doing water changes is just annoying because it's not a matter of scooping dirt into the garbage and replacing the dirt. It's a matter of having buckets and hoses and access to water. If you don't have close access to water, you're lugging water to be able to dump back into the tank. You're filling buckets with the dirty water and lugging them to dump. So it's just a whole complicated process, and tubs of water are heavy. So if you're thinking about getting an aquatic turtle, figure out how you are going to do water changes. What is your plan going to be? Because you might find that that alone is going to talk you out of having an aquatic turtle. Number 4 is the mess. Turtles are messy, which is where the stink comes from. If you aren't staying on top of water changes and cleanings, then it is going to get stinky. And when I say water changes, I don't just mean replacing the water. You need to get down into the gravel, the sand, whatever you have for your substrate, if you have substrate, and make sure you're getting all of the crap and leftover food off the bottom, because that is what is going to foul your water. Simply replacing the water isn't getting rid of the problem. So you need to make sure that you are taking care of their mess. Otherwise, all of your obnoxious water changes aren't going to make a difference. And number 5 is they need a variety of food. We say this with all animals, but turtles especially as well, and they're going to be a little more complicated, a little harder to get, a little more expensive. The nice thing is a lot of it can be kept in the freezer. If you have a small turtle, getting things like krill, you get shrimp, different fish. Just make sure that what you are getting is appropriate for your species. You have to make sure you're doing research on your food. They can have insects, but then you're either buying insects or breeding insects. And turtles are omnivorous, so they should be eating fruits, veggies, greens, but not a lot of them will, which can be kind of annoying. Out of all the turtles I cared for at the nature center, only about 2 would actually eat their greens. The rest completely ignored them. So then you have to make sure that you're supplementing properly, because the greens we were giving were high in calcium. If they're not eating their greens, we have to make sure they're still getting their calcium by supplying things like knuckle bones. So there's a lot to consider when it comes to turtle nutrition and things you have to think about and pay attention to make sure they're getting the nutrients that they need. And I'm going to add one more to this list because number 1 wasn't really a great one. We're going to add one more to replace number 1. That's their tank size needs to be bigger than you're expecting. Because that kind of goes with number 1, with being stinky. Usually that happens when their tanks aren't big enough. So they're fouling their tanks way too quick because they don't have the room they actually need. I can't tell you how many times I have seen sliders in inappropriate setups. A 40-gallon tank is not enough for an adult slider. Now I say sliders because those are probably the most common pet turtle. So if you're getting a nice big slider, you're better off going with a nice big tank and a canister filter to keep it clean. But then you have to know how to take apart canister filters and clean canister filters, which are also annoying, though they work great and are awesome. So if you are a turtle keeper or smoking in turtles, definitely look into canister filters. I highly recommend them. So personally, aquatic turtles, I'll care for them professionally, but I don't really want them personally in my home. I have a couple exceptions, like snapping turtles, because I love them. I love big reptiles. I love that they're prehistoric, so I do have an alligator snapping turtle. So I'm not keeping something like painted turtles and sliders, cooters. That is not for me, and I don't have the space that they need. So if there's anything I want you to take away from this video, it's that you need to seriously consider what space do you have for a tank. Make sure you are getting a big enough tank. They need big, much bigger than what the pet store makes you think they need. Make sure you've got proper filtration. Make sure you have a plan for their food and you understand turtle nutrition, and figure out whether you need to purchase supplies to test your water or if there's someone locally that can test your water for you. So overall, as someone that has cared for many aquatic turtles, I would not suggest them as a pet at all. But if you are dead set on having an aquatic turtle, please take these tips and you apply them into your research and your care. If you have an aquatic turtle, let me know in the comments below if you think I missed anything or if you want to add on anything. If you have any questions, please let me know. A big thing of what I do up here is actually help people with their turtle care, because a lot of people up here have turtles and they would come into the nature center just looking for tips, so I would help people all the time with their turtle care. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always more than happy to help. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!